I just ran because I had to pee and jumped back on the table and restarted it. All right, awesomeness. So, you guys are joining us on Marci Lock TV today, and I have a special show for you. This show is specifically dedicated to one topic, one theme, and so we're like in the most gorgeous exotic location. We're at La Costa Resort, which is where I'm actually running my goddess retreat in just a couple weeks. Chris will be involved in that as well. And so, see, I'm out of breath. I ran. He's like, you have 2 minutes, go pee. Because this is why I'm always drinking. Okay, so in this, we are in the most badass epic location, and I'm with the most badass epic man that I know. Seriously, can say that with 100% truth. The most badass epic man I know. This is the example to me. And you're welcome. And so this whole show is dedicated to the badasses and living as a true badass. So the reason why, and I'll jump back, and for those of you that are brand new to Marci Lock TV and have no idea what this is about, but the main reason why we felt inspired to do this show is because Chris trains a ton of high-level producers. I train a ton of high-level producers, people that are living at an epic level. They're, you know, badasses in society. They're famous. They're big, powerful coaches. And yet, we both saw a massive disconnect on them living in what we consider true badassery. I consider myself true badassery, divine goddess badass, and he's like the male version of divine god badass. So we said, we gotta, like, there's something here we get to teach. There's something here that we get to share and speak this truth that's just been coming through both of us, right? Like on fire with this. We're like, holy shit, there's this whole element that badasses can, when they understand these gaps that we've seen, how they can just propel to the ultimate true badass. I think we should count how many times we say badass.
Clicker, click.
But that's literally what we're here for. And then there's this element also of how do people get into the space of facing those things that are the blocks and the barriers to allow themselves to live in badass, which is just epic awesomeness. So if you guys are joining us for the first time, Marci Lock TV, influential TV is what I call it. I built this space for me to bring on people that are massively influential, living an epic life, being examples to you in truth. Because I know for me, starting back years ago, $2 an hour waitress, single mom, newly divorced after finding out I had a cheating husband, it was the mentors, the coaches, and the examples to me that allowed me to live now in my divine goddess truth of badassery. Click number 50. So this space is that space for you. So if you're new, you can go to Marci Lock, the Marci Lock app on iTunes or marcilockapp.com, and you have all these awesome TV shows. I did one with Chris back before we did Havasupai, before we actually did our first badass breakthrough adventure event. So that one's on there, epic nuggets from him and his truth. A lot of amazing people, the TV shows, the radio shows, free workouts, recipes, you name it. You can also go to mindbody90.com to get access to the free video series. So that's where you can go have a lot of epic tools. But today, we're focused on some key concepts that we've just talked about. So Chris, tell us why this kind of came through you. What did you really see? First, let's drop back first. What is a true badass?
So I think to define a true badass, we need to really look at what is a non-badass, or
let's reverse engineer this bitch, shall we?
So we saw a lot of people who were claiming to be badasses, people just acting like they had it all, people just portraying this image to the public online on Facebook as if they have it all, and we've experienced them on the back end of things, and it's just there's so much inauthenticity in it. So people, when we say having it all, it doesn't mean that we can go out and party it up and get drunk and get stupid all the time and just have this empty, shallow life buying things, and somehow because we have a lot of money and a lot of cool things and we can have sex with anybody we want, like, it's different than that. Like,
I'm like,
oh, okay. That sounds pretty badass.
Never thought about it that way.
But like, what I mean is like just having a deeper sense of fulfillment inside. So the true badass is someone who's willing to do the work, not only externally, because one of the biggest problems in society is people not willing to do the work at all, neither internally nor externally. So they just sit around, watch TV, drink their beer, and wish shit was different. So a true badass is willing to, first off, know what they need to do, receive feedback on what the hell they do need to do, and then commit and do it. So do the work on the outside. So executing campaigns, executing marketing, executing fitness and diet and all the things that make a truly badass life.
Meditation, peace, everything,
yeah,
right?
so
every
much,
area.
so in every area of life. But along with that is required the inner work, the game of sorting out your own stuff so that you can continuously up level to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, never stopping. We call it eternal expansion. So a true badass truly has it all on all levels. It's not just a surface level. It's not just a shiny, look cool, act macho thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think that. They think, well, yeah, you're badass if you come across as this hardcore, like, so people can see my masculine energy, be like, oh, warrior, you know, she's like, I'm up there like in training mode sometimes when I'm speaking that, but that doesn't make me a badass, honestly. That's the least actually the amount of make me badass. That's probably where most people exist in the space of wearing a mask of a badass. Is like, I'm a badass. Like, bullshit.
Anyone can put on a mask and act cool.
Exactly.
Can you actually feel and be cool down to the core and on some very deep, deep levels inside?
So standing in your power and your truth.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about how we noticed is, what are some of the problems you've seen in coaching so many badasses and high-level producers? Where's the gap that you've seen in them living in a space where, so let's say that you're describing what a true badass is, and it's saying it's not just being macho and hardcore. It's, for me, it's the results of having every aspect of your life kicking ass, not the results, which most badasses live in this space. And this is why, as the goddess thing came through me, that's what I got. I looked around and like all these women that were badass would come to me, and I recognized there were still so many gaps missing that they weren't even ready for what I teach in Goddess, to live in like total divine alignment and truth, to operate out of your full capacity and power. Means the result should be that literally you're financially kicking ass. You're worthy of abundance in every aspect of your life. You're worthy of epic, amazing relationships, and you have them. You're worthy of divine spiritual alignment, and you feel only, you know how to go inside and internal and create peace always inside you, and have that space where it's like, I'm aligned in my truth, so I can stand next to a badass and totally own my own power. Not instantly shriek into my old limiting shit that's like, ooh, maybe watch what I say. Are they going to judge me? Blah, blah. It's like, I am owning my truth completely. In every single aspect of your life, your business, your passion, your body, yo snap, rockin' body of health, all these things in alignment is when you are living as a true badass. That's my belief. That's my perception of what a true badass is. Does that mean I'm just showing up as like, oh, look at my body and look at my money that I'm making, I'm a badass in my business or whatever? Bullshit. It's, I'm at peace. I'm at flow. Everything is there is no settle. There is no sacrifice. It's ease, because the belief even in the story that everything's hard is fighting your belief system. So if you haven't conquered your mind, conquered your body, conquered that internal connection to your spirit at peace and all these things, you're not living what we consider to be a true badass. You might be in the state of badass, right, where like something's, a few areas are rocking, and this is what we saw, right? We saw so many high-end producers where they had on this mask of like, I'm badass, but they were wearing kind of this mask because the relationship sucked. They're a settle, and that is the #1 area. That's a whole thing we could go off on, right? Yeah. That's the #1 area Chris and I saw is the biggest space where people in a badass experience, where they live a pretty epic life, are settling, because there's this massive settle. So we'll dig into that whole subject later. But it's like, either if you're doing rocking in your business, but your body's not in tune and you're not spiritually aligned, and so it's like you're living in this mask of like, I'm awesome because my business rocks. I don't believe that's true badass. Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of where we're going is, now, how do you fill in the gaps? Or there's this problem that in this space, what I see is when you're living in a space that's pretty epic and great, you kind of like, it's good, right? Versus when someone's in shit, when you're down here and you're like, oh, my life is shit. When I was a waitress making $2 an hour, it's like, I'll do anything. Like, there's so much pain in what you're experiencing. You're so motivated. There's so much more pleasure and change. But what's the reality for when people are in a badass space? Why do you see them not go to that level of, let's go from good to great, or just most of them are living in great? How do you go to fucking fantastic, Chris?
So when we're in good or we're in bad, it's that we're highly motivated. The pain, so in life, no one ever breaks through or makes a change until the pain of their current reality is greater than their fear of change. So if their fear of change is clear up here, they've got to create pain bigger than that. It could be divorce and bankruptcy and big-ass catastrophes. But if you lower your fear of change, your pain can be less and less in life, so that it becomes easier and easier. So a badass has it great, or they have it good or great, and so it's very easy to become complacent in this place, because it's an excellent place. Life is good. You have plenty of money. You do what you love. You make a difference. You're very influential. You got so much going for you. But if you don't have this deep sense of fulfillment and purpose and joy and balance and peace and deep passionate connection in your relationships, something's missing. You're not there. And so you got to take and say, I know that my pain's not huge, but I'm going to now become motivated to shift and lower my fear of change. And the fear here is, when we had nothing, to go all in was like, I got nothing to lose. And now you got a bunch of shit to lose, because you went from shit to greatness. And now if you go all in and you lose, you have a shit ton to lose. So it's a lot higher stakes than when it was just painful, your back's against the wall, and you really have no other choice. You have a choice now. I can stay at this greatness, or I can really soar and expand and bust through to the next level of badassery.
But what I see is, okay, so most of us that live in this space, we're believers that constant expansion is just part of how we roll. Like, you're always growing, you're always expanding, you're always learning. It's just not at a deep level to keep you up leveling so huge. Like for me, my life is so drastically different every 90 days, even every 6 weeks, every, like every month, it's like boom, 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 boom. And it's like, and I feel like that's a blessing that God taught me certain tools that I teach, that I live by, that allows me to expand so fast and constantly keep growing. But I see most people, they'll get to that space you described, and then it's just kind of like stagnant. And so as many high producers that I've coached, it's kind of like when we really get clear on their belief systems of what's going on and why they're in that place, it's like, I just kind of like, my business is doing awesome. So I figure, it's okay that my body's 20 pounds overweight. And, I figure, I'll attract some epic man down the road when I get to this place, and there's belief systems that keep them stuck in that place because life is pretty damn good. And I think money's one of the reasons why when people create that success, it is probably the easiest space to go into, being like, life is good, because when you don't have money to survive, that really comes up for you. So then you settle on relationships. Relationships, obviously, I still want to dig into that. That's such a huge level. But what you're getting at is when we're just in this place of like, I'm growing, I'm expanding, but I'm not going to that deeper level. This is what keeps us just in like good or great. It never allows us to go to epic or fucking fantastical, right? And so you and I, as we really looked at this and this kind of came through us, we're like, what is it that will allow someone in that space to confront what are those real patterns? What are those real beliefs? So share with everybody kind of
what we come up with was, as producers, high-level producers, anyone who's a high-level producer knows that learning and growing and expanding and investing in your human life value, or your ability to provide value in the world and other people's lives, is critical to your success. And so we're always in this, all of us are high-level producers, are in the self-help industry. We're attending workshops and seminars and trainings, and a lot of times it's just strategy or technique, or things like, here's how you do a marketing campaign, here's how you do this, here's how you break through that. But it's always like this predetermined curriculum that you study in a classroom, sitting still in a classroom. It's boring. It's not outdoors. It's not fun. And if you've been to a million seminars like we have, it's like pretty soon you're sitting through seminar after seminar, and you're like, I already heard this shit 100 times. What am I doing here? But you pick up a few nuggets, and sometimes those nuggets are enough to really boost one area of your life or another forward in a very big way, so it ends up being barely worth sitting through the workshop or event. But so we decided, screw this, let's go out and create epic, fun outdoor adventures where you are confronting real-life issues that come up in the moment.
Your fear and your shit.
Your fear and all the shit that stops you in every area of your life. Like you mentioned the 20 extra pounds, and you act like it's not a big deal. But if you're 20 pounds overweight, like where else is it in your life that you're only going 80% of the way? And what is it that's stopping you? So the lack of follow-through, the lack of mental mind mastery, the lack of ability to commit and follow through, and a million other things that come up and surface in that. But to be able to face that head-on in the moment, whether we're jumping out of a plane, jumping off of a cliff, scuba diving, exploring a cave, like all the fun stuff that we do, and like there has been so many fun things we've done, and it's just real world, real time breakthrough in the moment in an experience that anchors in like nothing. You can't do this kind of an anchor in a classroom, and it's just so liberating, freeing, and empowering, and you can't have more fun in the process. Like this is as fun as it gets.
And
right?
be with the people that live in that same
Exactly.
space. But so something you tapped on when you were saying like what came up for me is the belief that that you don't really consciously see the belief that you're not having it all.
Yeah.
Because you're validating the story in your head. And so when we decided to roll with our inspiration to do this badass breakthrough experience, we did Havasupai. We, backpacked 10 miles down in, there was like, 30 people down in there and hiking and going through the waters. And what we did was, a crazy rebirthing experience through a whirlpool, jumping off cliffs, all this stuff. And we saw the craziest stuff happen where people, even married couples, had stuff show up where, their patterns would show up to be like, oh, you're having fun over here and I'm left out. I'm going to like retract myself, and we get to call them on their shit and be like, how's that showing up? Why is that showing up? But they're already living in a battle space. They've never confronted this shit. And it's almost like, how do you get to recognize where you stop yourself and go to that level? So the story, I want to share this story. Remember me jumping off the cliff, right? Yeah. Like, this was big for me. Like, so, we'd already done a couple days of adventuring, all these, diving and crazy things, right? And we get to, we climb one day up to, there's this big old massive cliff waterfall. And instantly, I look up and I go, oh, fuck, that scares me. I guess that's what I get to do. And I just took off my shirt and like started hiking up, and it was just like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And I get up there and I even was like, hey Chris, you jump with me? And then I was like, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that. I'm owning this bitch, right? And so like, and I remember you had like a GoPro, and I turned and I had to remind myself, I was like, false evidence appearing real. I was like, this is just false evidence appearing real, lock it down. And I just ran and jumped off the cliff. And about a couple weeks later, I talked to one of the girls that was there at the event, and not everyone did this jump. There was like, so it's like all these different levels. And this girl had said to me, she witnessed the whole thing. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was in my own space, right? But I literally, for me, it was such a big thing because she said she overheard me go, oh fuck, that scares me. I guess that's what I get to do. And saw me do it, and she said every single time now over the last couple weeks, things have come up, opportunities have come up, and she's like, I normally would have validated it, I would have run from it, I would have done that, and then I remember you saying, the instant I feel a feeling of fear, which is just a thought, I go, oh fuck, that scares me, I guess that's what I get to do, and I'm like, oh, right, but it's like that, and now I look back and I go, how did I get to this space? There's been years where every time it was the physical things. I've skydived, I've done, backwards bungee jumping down through New Zealand, like all sorts of crazy shit, going through cave waters with eels in the pitch black. That was fucking scary to me at the time, right? Like all that shit that I did allowed me to go, whoa, like that was just fear in my mind. That wasn't real. And that was fucking cool. That was awesome. And it allowed me to see what I'm capable of, and I'm stronger than I've ever allowed myself to be, and that I am limitless possibilities. Even though, yes, then it took all that, it's like it's a real life breaking through, you said, an anchoring, deep shit. And so that's what we realized for bad acids. It's almost like when you're just in this space of like, life is good. Yeah, I'm gonna, have this coach or get this book or, be accountable. Like he's one of my coaches. I have 6 coaches right now. So I know I will never be without a coach. I definitely will never be without this coach. He's been that powerful to me in my life. But even just like, okay, to one business coach, I'm reporting my numbers every day. And, to another one, I'm learning certain concepts and I'm getting my whole team on Infusionsoft to launch blah, blah, blah. And then on my internal personal space with more of my energy coaches, I'm focusing on different meditations. And it's like, yeah, great, awesomeness. But that isn't necessarily the thing that makes you go, what's still there, what beliefs and things are still there, what patterns are there that are keeping me from living fucking fantastical.
One of the key points that you brought out is how you saw the fear and knew you needed to do it. So all growth and expansion happens outside of our comfort zone, but everyone wants to hang out in their comfort zone. So part of a definition of a true badass is someone who's willing to face into and go into all of their fears, go out of their comfort zone over and over and over again. And this isn't just about jumping off and doing adrenaline rush. This isn't just a macho adrenaline rush thing. This is like sometimes being a badass and facing your fears is doing a meditation and being quiet for a long time and being like, there's so many people, I've done multiple 10-day silent meditation retreats, and people look at me and say, like, people that call themselves badasses are scared to death of that. People that call themselves badasses are scared to death of actually being met by a person of the opposite sex who is just as powerful as them. There's people who are, so there's people who are badasses who are afraid to be in quiet or go without food or to just do, there's a million things that we may be scared of, maybe being really close and intimate and vulnerable. Like many people who claim to be badasses don't have the slightest clue about being vulnerable and creating a true, authentic, deep, meaningful connection with anyone in their world. So a true badass is someone that's willing to face all of their fears internally, externally, both ways, so that they ultimately become not scared of anything or not frozen by fear. They feel the fear and do it anyway.
But they continue to up-level and up-level and up-level and up-level. That literally your results are, you get to the results that your life is awesome in every way, and it just keeps getting more awesome in every aspect, not a few areas. So you talked about comfort zone, and this is what I want to tap onto. I feel, you know, really strongly about this, is that what I see with people when I work with all these high-level producers, there's a reason why it's comfortable to them, not consciously, to be kicking ass in one area, okay? So even some people will be like, I got the body down. I'm like, awesome. And, you know, like, how's your relationships? How's your spiritual alignment? All these other things. And so most of the time it's that they're creating epic success in one area, say business, because a lot of the high-end producers we work with are kicking ass in business. That's actually just their validation story of how they're accepted and loved. And so just like someone who might not know business at all, but their body rocks and they put in 2 hours a day and they have to look good to be validated, it's the same fucking shit when you have to be validated that you're awesome because you're making great finances and your business is rocking. But if everything isn't in alignment, something's missing. And like, what kind of life do you really want? So it's that deeper belief system that says, why is it that, you know, an inkling of us? So let's say that 19 out of 20 people actually felt getting what they want. 19 out of 20. 98% stop trying for something they want after just 2 to 3 tries. So this is why 1% of the population are creators. Okay, the rest are participants or spectators. So you got spectators, participants, and creators. Creators make the epic shit. Creators do the epic shit. Participants utilize the epic shit. Spectators just sit on the sideline and watch. Okay, so there's only 1% of us that are living this life. Okay, and out of that 1%, I believe there's an inkling. This is what we tapped onto and realized. There's an inkling that are living fully in that space of having it all, instead of just, oh, well, I'm validating, I'm awesome because I have epic results here, I have epic results here, and so it validates me. It's just the same shit as the spectator who is desperate to be loved and accepted and validated by, you know, showing up for everybody else and not showing up for themselves, and like the woman who's like, I've got to have a perfect body so that I'm good enough and he'll love me. Yep. Do you like this? This is cool. Love me, please. Right? I mean, it's all bullshit. Yeah. Until you are totally in alignment of loving yourself. And see, dropping all attachments and stories. The fact that Chris and I have the most epic relationship and his wife and I have the most epic relationship, and there's no stories or attachments or you know, it's like, this is where relationships can be epic in every aspect and arena. So let's dig into that. Can we dig into relationships? Yes. This is the biggest thing that we see missing for people. Because now you talked about standing next to a creator. I saw this when, first off, this is my own journey. Like literally being single, you know, been divorced for 7 years. What I saw along the way is people would get divorced and they'd instantly get into another relationship, right? Because they were so scared of being alone and, you know, not their own and afraid of their own worth. So it's like they had to latch on to somebody else to be you show me I'm good enough. And I'd hear people's words say, well, I just want to be with someone who appreciates me and loves me and knows my worth. And I'm like, so it sounds like you don't know your own fucking worth, because you obviously can't stand on your own in that space. So there was that, for me, on my journey of dating and, you know, drawing in relationships, I saw how, as a powerful woman, I had belief systems that, you know, I'd have to attract someone down here that was safe, so that, because I was epic and awesome, right? And so this made me really safe, that they're like, oh, you're awesome, right? And so, but then what would happen is, because they didn't live life the same way I did, eventually the mask would fall. They're trying to live life like I do. The mask would fall, and there was a disconnect. So they try to, it's almost like you attract people as a badass that try to, you coach them up to your level, or coach them up in the mindset, or you're going to teach them business, or you're going to do all these things to try to get them up here, when really you're just being the pussy who's too scared to attract someone at your fucking level, right? Instead of like, oh, it's safe to go down here. So as I went through my own journey and discovery of this, of how I was attracting the wrong men to make myself feel safe. Well, that was pretty pussy of me, so I decided to call myself on my own shit and get really clear on what I want, and only attracting epic men and shifting myself internally to align into that space. But then what I found was interesting, and so I had this experience where I was speaking at an event and interacted with some guys who were like super hot, super powerful, kicking ass. I told you about this story, right? And one of the guys came up to me after and was talking to me, because he literally took on a perception, because I was hugging people as they were coming in, because I was speaking and I was kind of controlling energy coming in the room. And he said, you know, you hugged everyone coming in the room, but you didn't hug me. You just kind of gave me a high five. And it's because I felt his energy was like, he was like blocking me, his energy. And this is because his internal fear was, oh my gosh, there's another beautiful woman who's, you know, she's the speaker and she's epic, she's amazing, she's this. So he literally was putting an energy with me of like, I'm scared of you. So I was like, what's up, dude? Versus hugging him, because I could tell his energy was like, stay back. So he came up to me, he's like, I just, what came up for me, or what I thought is like, you know, maybe you don't think I'm, you know, good enough, and all these limiting stories. And I'm like, wow, what's so powerful to understand is, you want to attract, you sit there and think that, you know, most of the time relationships are a settle. You've got to either be, this is what I've seen with a lot of powerful women I work with, you either get to be independent and alone, and just like, it's easier to be alone because you're sick of attracting douchebags who don't live at your level and coaching them up to your level, and it always falls out anyways. Or you think you have to settle for a douchebag, or settle by, I hear this all the time, women, I'll just bring my power down here, because and then it affects their ego that I'm so awesome and amazing, and they can't handle that. So I'm going to be alone if I don't hold my power down and settle. All that, is that going to make you happy? No. But on the other aspect, so there's that aspect that's limiting. On the other aspect, as soon as you go, okay, I want to attract a co-creator. As soon as a co-creator comes into your space, someone who is epic and amazing, what happens is exactly what this dude experienced. Where all of a sudden you get hit with the limiting belief shit where you're like, oh my gosh, well, maybe I'm the settle. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not attractive enough. Maybe they don't like me. And we go into our limiting shit, and then we're instantly in our fear subconsciously. So what do? We push them away. Just like he was like, I'm scared of you. Don't come near me. That's the vibe he was giving me, although it was more like, oh, fuck, she's a fucking hottie. Yes, I am. Right? But it's like, right? Like, it's interesting that that's instantly what happens to us, and so that's why we experience relationships as a settle. What do you see with relationships in marriages? Because that's more your gene, especially.
Yeah. So typically in relationships, we're seeing this push-pull of who's right, who's wrong, who's the biggest victim. So there's this constant struggle, just victimhood, blame, control, manipulation, and just trying, it's this power struggle, trying to see who's going to dominate, who's going to control. So to be in a truly epic, conscious, loving relationship of awareness, see, this doesn't just come naturally, because the skill sets and mindsets that we have in relation to relationships are just what was passed down to us by our parents, what was modeled to us around us, and 99% of all people have never had a healthy relationship modeled for them. So all of the active programming that we have to develop and generate and participate in relationships in is completely flawed, from every movie we watch to every song we listen to everything that we do. So there's ongoing power struggles. So the question becomes, how does a person in a committed relationship be their full self-expression, in their full power, in their full creativity and aliveness, living their true authentic life while walking side by side with their mate and their partner and allowing the other to be the same. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of 3 stages of relationships where we can either be completely independent. Most relationships are codependent, meaning I need you, you complete me, I'm nothing without
good.
you.
Make me feel validated.
Fill my void because I won't do it for myself.
Yeah.
And then there's interdependent, which is I'm whole and complete within me, you're whole and complete within you, and us as 2 whole people, because 2 halves doesn't make a whole. It's like in this scenario, 2 negatives makes a big-ass negative. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make a positive. So you have 2 big-ass messes doesn't make 1 non-mess. So you're 2 beautiful whole people come together, and 1 + 1 = 11. The sum of the whole is much greater than the sum of the parts. Mm-hmm. When you're working together in harmony and unison, and you've alleviated the drama that most people consume their entire life with, because you have the skill sets, you have the mindsets, you know how to resolve conflict and shift when you go into the drama and the chaos, and so then you begin to apply that, and you experience a different result, because now all the energy that you used to consume on the drama can now be channeled towards passion and purpose and creations of your choice, and life becomes, and relationships become, something of a game and an enjoyable process that's more fulfilling and supportive. It's like, I'm my cake, you're the icing on my cake, but I don't need you, I just want you, and you don't need me, you just want me.
So I love, like, I've always viewed, like, relationships to me are meant simply for one reason: to magnify your life experience, not to make you whole or complete, not to make you feel validated or loved. All that comes from within you. And when you're whole and complete, it's just a bonus. It's like, well, yeah, I love living in paradise and rocking out paradise. What's a bonus is doing it with epic relationships around me. So I only now attract epic men, and I only attract the very best friends and the best coaches and the best people in my life, and I have rocking amazing relationships with my little boys. But what I see in marriages is, and it was my experience, is that I got married when I was in my limiting beliefs. So a lot of times we get married when we're in a limited space, and then one person really has this drive to consciously live, to consciously up-level, to live. They see they want more, and maybe the other person doesn't. I'm so happy for my ex. He's been married a couple times. Now he just got married, and he doesn't have any motive or drive to do anything other than just kind of go through the motions of life. And he married someone that's the exact same, and it's perfect for them. Perfect for them. I'm so happy for them. But for me, that's why there was a disconnect. It wouldn't last. And, it's like, I can go into the belief systems of, like, how I take accountability for the belief systems I had, because I was so limited in, like, oh, I've got to be loved. I'm married, even down here, thinking, well, that will make me safe. He'll always love and appreciate me because I'm beautiful and amazing, all these things. And then in my head, I was saying, if I'm perfect and I'm an amazing wife and an amazing mom and I look beautiful, he'll always love, appreciate me, and never cheat on me. I said those words in my head. So what was I retracting to the universe? And that was my exact experience, was getting cheated on. So now it's like, you see this a lot of marriages where there's a struggle and a battle, because maybe 2 people got married and one doesn't want to up-level and the other one does. Or there's this, how do we both up-level? And I see this with a lot of the guys that we know, the epic men that go through a program, and then their wives have no clue how to connect to that, how to actually, what do they go through to live in the same space? And so there's a disconnect there. So in Badass Breakthrough, it's like one of our big key concepts is, this is the hugest area that badasses are settling in. Because there's not many people that live and experience what Chris does, where he's living in an epic marriage, epic relationship, everything else. I don't experience seeing too many people that live where they can stand next to a creator. So if I attract a man who's a complete creator and epic man, I can stand fully in my truth and power, not afraid of judgment or worry or anything else, because guess what? I know if you don't love all the awesomeness that's me, it wouldn't work anyways. Yep. And so I'm only going to attract the very best that loves me, and I get to be around cool people. But that's missing. So how do we allow people to, what do you think is, like, the biggest key concept of how do you allow people in a marriage even to go, do I get clear on standing in my truth on my own, even if the person doesn't want to up-level, and what does that experience look like? How do you stand in that power for you and give them the freedom to choose their own experience? Because that's a big detachment. It's not like, well, they've got to up-level, they've got to up-level. You're literally doing the same shit by saying you have to be a certain way for me to love you. And you want them to love you for who you are. So what's the advice you really give marriage relationships on how to either both up-level or how do you stand in your power on your own to up level?
So at the end of the day, it never serves anyone to stop becoming the greatest version of themselves. All of us are designed to move and to grow and to expand into the next greatest version of ourselves over and over and over again. So it's a building process today. The choices I make today determine who I am and how I'm being and what I'm receiving tomorrow. So it's just in my nature to continue to create and to expand and to grow. So as I go into that, like I will never stop. If my wife, I have an epic wife, epic relationship, but I'm just committed to reaching my full capacity. So it used to be that it was like I'm committed to making my relationship work no matter what. Now it's I'm committed to reaching my full capacity no matter what. And babe, I sure hope you come with me. And she's choosing into that, lucky me. So we're in that together. We're on that same journey, committed to having it all, committed to becoming the greatest versions of ourselves and continually expanding in that direction. So that's the good news. That doesn't always go this way. A lot of times the guy will start to up level and he doesn't hold the space for his wife to do the same, and she may start to up level, and then he gets insecure, and then tension and fights start to happen because they're not the same people they were when they came in, which can be an awesome thing because it's like, cool, we get some variety here and we get to experience some new experiences instead of the same old, same old. But if at the core of all this is self-love. If a person doesn't truly love themselves, if you truly love yourself, then you can be at peace with whatever someone else chooses. And if you choose to love yourself fully, then you will be at peace with whatever they choose. Now, when we got a little bit of distractions in the background, so I'm like getting distracted here. So when you do choose, so one of the cool things about the Badass Breakthrough experience is that as we venture out and do these crazy epic adventures and face our fears over and over again, facing your fears is simply facing the unloved places within yourself. So it provides this great opportunity to learn to love and create this foundation at a core level that is no longer a sandy foundation, because there's this sandy foundation that people build their success on, which is I'm happy as long as I have this relationship, I'm happy as long as other people approve of me externally, I'm happy as long as I have plenty of money. But what happens to you when you lose all that shit? And so the true success is a person who is so in a space of love inside here with themselves that they need nothing or no one outside of them to validate them in any way whatsoever. So one of the values, deep values of the Badass Breakthrough experiences is that we face those fear spots that we deal with, which is just bringing love to the places that are unloved in us, which builds that foundation to have true success rather than the surface level shit that's a sandy foundation that if you lost your wife, you lost your money, you lost your car and your houses and all your cool shit, that now all of a sudden you're falling apart and you're questioning how badass you really are. A true badass is solid whether you with that stuff, without it, you're okay with having it, okay with not having it, and just shows up fully and epically present, powerful, conscious, aware, and standing for their full truth and expression and reaching their full capacity in the world versus just keeping up with the status quo or competing with the Joneses or trying to just fake like you have the badass life because you have some surface level shit.
Yeah, for sure. So this came up for me. I would love for you to share, because this was big for me in understanding when you first talked about going through the process of where, you know, when you struggled in your marriage to be able to like up level, right? And I remember you saying how at first it was like a complete broken space, and then you got that conscious awareness where you're like, wait a minute, you know, I choose to be unattached to all things, and that this is like me living in my truth, and that's what shifted for you guys to allow you to go, it's not a, like, hang on to grasp, how can we fix this, or, you know, you got to be this way. It was like, even when the other person shows up with shit, and shows up in their limiting beliefs or things, there's conscious awareness, and this is something I love to teach and I'm super excited about with the Badass experience, is teaching that conscious language teaching, because less than 1%, I believe, know how to communicate. And we're talking about even most badasses don't understand the true communication, authentic communication, to get clear on what's really showing up. So it's easy to just go, oh, shit showed up. This is what it looks like. This is felt. Boom, boom, boom. We're good. But people in owning creation instead. But even when someone chooses to, like, maybe stay in their shit and have some things trigger them, and it's a perfect feedback and growth experience, how do you react to that? Because I've seen you do that so powerfully, which is what I think is what ultimately most people are totally unaware of.
So great point, and I'm glad you brought this up. So critical to be aware of the patterns and conditioning. So when I say we have an epic marriage, it's not like it's all roses and it's just Stepford wives shit. We still have triggers, but we have tools and we're committed to using them. So when we get the trigger, we actually stop and look at the source of the trigger and take 100% responsibility for what's happening in here and getting out of the other person's business. So one of the big patterns in my relationship has been the need or the desire to be the hero, because we've been taught that this hero thing is so beautiful. It's been portrayed in 100 ways, how the hero is the beautiful person who's just this saintly person who sacrifices himself and saves the other, and it's so awesome, it's so noble, and it's the key #1 source of chaos in relationships. And it's been my #1 flaw, has been, or struggle, if you take away the belief that it's a flaw, but it's just like the thing that I do to create struggle is try to save everyone in my world, and then later on be pissed off because I feel victimized about that. So just being aware of that, starting to become consciously aware and bring awareness to where I'm showing up as a victim, where I'm showing up as a villain, where I'm showing up as a hero, and to own that and then communicate unarguably about what my truth is that has nothing to do with her. And taking 100% responsibility, which has nothing to do with her, and dropping my victim stories, and instead, when I take responsibility, it's like, how did I create this? What do I really want to create? And what do I need to do? How am I showing up? What do I need to do from here to create what I really most want?
You got it. So even I didn't even tell you this. Like I have my leg is recovering because I had an experience the other day where I got triggered by a masculine relationship with my kid's dad, and had just, as we moved to California, there's been some resistance and a lot of up-leveling going on. And so I took my kids out into the beach, and I was like, I'm just going to dive into the water over and over and over again, get super comfortable with the ocean. And as I'm diving over and over again, all of a sudden this thought came to me. It was like, don't dive. And so I hurried and stood up, and I didn't dive, and I turned, and this huge wave hit me. And all of a sudden, next thing I knew I almost got wiped out from under my feet. I had a massive surfboard somebody had let go of, just totally took out my knee. And what's funny is, you say attract it, you take full power and responsibility. That's right side of my body, masculine energy. It hit my knee, which is patterns in relationships. So I literally attracted something physically showing up because of my internal emotional shit that was going on at that moment. And I was like, first off, I took it as like, wow, gratitude, gift of feedback, and I'm so grateful that, you know, I'm in tune, that I could have had my head at that exact space and been knocked unconscious underwater. And that's why I was like, oh, I love that everything works out perfectly. See my belief systems, that I was inspired to stand up, and I didn't have that, and I was safe. So I'm grateful that this is healing, because I know that it was me being safe, but I took responsibility. I was like, that's because of the shit that I created earlier today, and that I was looking at resistance-wise, and this is why this showed up. So I didn't just go, oh, I was in the ocean and some surfboard hit me.
Don't you feel bad for me?
And then I haven't told anyone about it. That's why I said I haven't even told you this. You know, I've been like, I was gimping around for a couple of days, the people that saw me, but other than that, like, nobody knows, because as a creator, I'm only going to focus on the things that I want to create. But I love that you do that. Even in that space, you're like, you know what? Okay, full 100% responsibility. Now, how do I continue to allow myself to create constant expansion or in total truth of me? And this person, it's okay. I give them the freedom to experience what they want to experience. Yeah. And trust the bigger picture. You didn't, in the past, when you told me that story about, you know, the whole growth and expansion you went through with Megan and getting to that place, it wasn't like there wasn't this idea and mentality of, like, you know, having to grasp onto the relationship in any way, or having to change the person like most people do. They're like, I just want my marriage to show up this way. I want them to be this way, or, you know, this to happen. It was you, like, totally were unattached, saying, you know, this is my commitment to me. is being in this space of constant expansion, aligned in my truth. And so whatever that shows up is that it's almost the trust the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And when we're in the smaller self, we don't see that bigger picture. We don't see that what's possible for us. Because I can tell you this, living the life I live today, oh my gosh, I couldn't have even fathomed, even like it was beyond my wildest dreams. And it just continues to get greater and greater. The life I've lived a few years ago was beyond what I could fathom and dream. So it's in that, but all this comes down to the only way you get here, the only way you get to, whether you're single or married, you know, I'm single, you're married, get to that space where you're totally in alignment of accepting your truth in every aspect. And what we're saying is a true badass. So there might be the space for you where you're not even living the badass life. There's still a massive disconnect for you to get to that space where you would even be considered a badass, right? So it's like breaking through to you living in the space of everything in life gets to be awesome. But then, as a true badass, how do you live epic awesomeness completely? So we call that badass breakthrough. Like being able to confront those things and trigger those things. What do you feel like is some of the other problems you're seeing with people in that space?
The two main people we're seeing, so one of the things that we're including in badass, the badass breakthrough experiences, not only are we going, it's like, it's solving a vacation issue, because there's this whole saying of, instead of going on vacation, creating a life that you don't need to escape from, right?
My life is awesome.
Then we see this self-help industry of all these people who are committed to being and up-leveling and becoming the greatest version of themselves possible, attending all these workshops and trainings, but it's boring. So let's create a vacation that's conscious, that's going to accomplish everything you would accomplish in a workshop and substantially more powerfully because of the environment, the people, the experiences, all of that, while having fun and being on vacation. But on top of that, we saw this relationships things where there was these badass women who are over here in Camp Badass Woman, and we got these badass dudes that are over here in Camp Badass Dudes.
And they're like, I'm scared to stand next to you. And you're a powerful creator.
They're like not coming together. So we saw online, everyone's like, well, when are you going to create this experience for this dating site for the warriors, the badass people, all this stuff? And we're like, well, this is it. So this is a chance for badass singles to meet. This is a chance for badass couples to network and hang out with other like-minded couples. This is a chance to get out and have fun and have meaningful vacations. This is a chance to face fears on every level and get out of that comfort zone and have these deep, powerful breakthroughs. Like, it's the most epic creation. It's why we're so excited about it, is because it solves like 5 massive problems all in one. And it's about the funnest way possible to do it.
And to, like you said, everything. Network with people that are going to up-level. Gosh, it's phenomenal. So we did Havasupai. Amazing, amazing place. If you've never been to Havasupai, this gorgeous location where the water is just blue and you're trekking through. We have a New Year's Eve experience where we actually get to celebrate with all the badasses and then rock out the new year of getting clear. But not just on the actual let's face fear level, but let's get in and let's dig into all these concepts that we're talking about. How do you align yourself to these concepts so you're experiencing this, so that this totally is your truth? What are those blocks and those barriers that are holding you back? If you just look at your life, all I want you to do is look at results. What are your results? Because if it is not awesome in every aspect of your life, this is my new motto. This has been my motto for, like, I don't know, 6 months to a year. This is like, I'm like, if it's not awesomeness, what the hell's the point? What the hell is the point if it's not awesomeness? I'm telling you, like, so so obviously this is one of the things that we created to be able to do this, is teaching people how they can get to that space of badass. And then there's these different levels, because in that space you can't have someone that's down here that's not really creating with someone who is creating at a high level. So badass breakthrough is only for those people that have the results. They are already living in a badass life. But you're in that space where you're like, yeah, you know, why am I staying at great? Why am I not going to fucking fantastical? Why do I have awesome finances, but the relationships are missing, or the body's not totally there? I'm 80%. Why do I stop at 80%? Let me tell you, 80% is still, like, no fun. You can't even imagine what you can have when you're operating out your full capacity and power. When you're aligned in this truth, in your full powerful truth, that's the mind shift I want people to get, is that that's what's possible. And we talk about having it all, and a lot of people talk about having it all, but they're still living in a fucking mess.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yep. So I'm thinking of some of, like, I want to tell you guys a little bit about some of the events and the visions and what we've done a lot of research and located different locations and different things that we'll be doing. So, like, we're looking at Cancun and Caribbean exotic New Year's celebrations where we go in, we settle in, do some breakthrough stuff, start to get some clarity, get grounded, have fun, relax a little bit, then have an epic celebration with conscious, like-minded, aware people. So instead of getting drunk and stupid and more clouded, have the most epic or doing the same old boring whatever New Year's that you would do. How about going to one of the most exotic places in the world with some of the most amazing, conscious, aware, high-level producers in the world, having an absolute blast, celebrating New Year's in true style, and then going into having all these outdoor, crazy, fun, epic adventures that are all breakthrough processes, and leaving there 100% clear. So we make all these New Year's resolutions and goals, and most people suck at making goals. They don't make effective goals that are smart, that are measurable and aggressive and realistic and time sensitive and all these things that will actually make them come true. So having this fun and this clarity and this breakthrough and this commitment in this community of powerful creators is frickin' epic for this event. And then I'm going to see if you have anything to say about this event, and then I want to talk a little more about some of the others that we have on the calendar.
No, you covered it. It's oh. You forgot one of the funnest parts, right, brother? Come on. It's the Marci kick your ass, right? It's like, so part of this, the New Year's one, I'm super excited about, because not only this cool ad that we get to have a celebration and we get to do what are your goals and your focus and like up level your business and everything, like and dig super deep and do everything that you've mentioned, but there's also the Marci Lock ass kicking that gets to happen, because that's one of the awesomeness things that I do, is I love to kick your ass. So we will obviously be teaching empowerment about how to be super effective working out, kicking your ass every day so you're still living in your rockin' body of health, learning how to shift into that space, a true workout, and how to be super effective. You've done it with me. You're like, I can't lift my arms. I'm like, dude, that was 10 minutes. And you're like, I'm like, I know, I'm that good. That's what we're going to do. So you'll get that as well, and learning how to obviously taking care of your body, super clean. Like, it's just going to be every aspect of your life we get to tap into at that deeper level.
So while we're out there, instead of going to the gym, we're doing it out there in nature. And so we're, instead of getting fatter and slower and more clouded, we're getting more ripped, more sexy, more clear, more alive. And so it's just conducive instead of whatever.
So sitting in a fucking seminar. Snacking the whole time, trying to stay awake, right? Like they turn up the air to be freaking cold so that you won't fall asleep, and you're just like,
get you up and dance every.
Yeah. Oh, now we're happy. Now we're happy.
High five. No.
Oh, now we're happy. Now we're happy. No, this is like, there's no stop. We're literally from early morning to late at night. Epic awesomeness.
Not a synthetic environment. It's the real shit.
Yes, and Havasupai was amazing. We've already gotten to do a couple events, and now everywhere we go, we have all these epic places where we're just having more badass breakthroughs. So, okay, next.
So other things like sailing in the Eastern Caribbean around this island and away from all of the touristy stuff, totally relaxing, deep clarity and connection and introspection with breakthrough and mindset, skill set, business planning. So we're looking at, business breakthroughs, just leaving there with absolute clarity and relaxation, rejuvenation, powerful breakthroughs and direction. So like super fun. That one's probably, it'll range between like 7 to 10 days. Yeah. High level, really nice yacht.
And that's actually, we can only have a small group with us for that one.
That's like 6 to 8 people. Totally like very awesome. And it has its own unique experiences of little like pirate coves and all kinds of pirate ships and
look how giddy
scuba diving and
this is the awesomeness
and just
that we get to
hanging out with the most awesome people ever, having a blast. So that one's a blast. We got backpacking trips. We got Havasupai coming up. We'll probably just do that annually. It's just so epic. Like just imagine like swimming underneath the water and then coming up in an underground cavern, or exploring the crystal caves and then turning off our lights in the darkness and doing processes and like just so many things. There's no way we could list it or even articulate how amazing it is. But what you can know is it's so fun, absolutely empowering, creating clarity, getting more fit, more healthy, more alive, more clear, epic breakthroughs in real life, anchoring in the true breakthroughs rather than just having a concept in your head, because it's about as experiential as you get.
Yep, it is. Awesomeness. Yeah, I have nothing else to add. That was amazing. So my big thing is, the reason we felt so on fire with this is because you work with high-level producers, I work with high-level producers, and out of that 1%, there's like this tiny inkling of people who are truly living their most amazing life. And if you're not living your most amazing life, your ultimate ideal life, if you can say that something's missing or that there's a gap there, that you know, it's good or it's great, but it's not awesomeness. Like I feel so blessed. Like my life is awesomeness. Awesomeness. That's another word that we're going to count how many times I get to say it. But that's what I experience every day, and that's what's possible. And that's where for us to get connected to our true power and our full capacity. I've used it with the words with the body for a long time, where I've told people, if you're not in flow with your body, if your body's not in tune as your tool, you're literally using less than 10% of your capacity. That's why as I work with these powerful individuals, I'm like, holy shit, I can't even imagine what's going to come through you and how much power you're going to exude and unleash when you're tapped into this, because this is your vehicle and your tool. So it's like that's kind of the same concept. It's like, I know that when people aren't even operating out of the body, they haven't conquered the mind and they're not fully functioning. When you're living in a space as a badass and you're in this place, but yet you're still limited, you're not to the space of true alignment where everything is beyond awesomeness, there's still so much in you and what you can experience in that place. So why do we validate and stay here? And even for those people that are down here, like, and don't know how to even get to that place, that's why we do some events to actually bring people from this to, it's called breakthrough to badass, to get to that space. But then literally the biggest message I want to tell for people is like, release the stories, the good, bad, the this or that, the wrong or right, that has to look a certain way, all these attachments that are keeping you limited instead of you becoming limitless possibility.
Great ad. Thank you. So if we look at, let's break down the 4 areas that are very influential in your life, that interact and create the results in every area of your life, and they very much affect each other. So body. The body being sexy is cool and it's a great benefit, but it's not the end result. The real core value of the body is it's the only vehicle you have to accomplish your life's purpose and do what you came here to do, whatever that is. So like it's your ability to be there for your wife, your children, yourself, to your clients, to fulfill your mission and purpose, make your contribution to the world. And an 80% body is the result of an 80% mind.
Not even.
And, yeah, at best. And if you are not reaching that, like whatever it is that's holding you back in your body is also holding you back in your relationships and your business and in your spirituality and everything. So really dialing in and being 100% committed to having an epic body experience of vitality and aliveness and power in this physical body is critical to you experiencing your full power as a creator, expressing your full expression on the planet.
So, but let me share, the only way you ever get to that space with your body is when you're in tune with the truth inside you. So, because my story was where I fought my body and fought my body and fought my body, and I was anorexic and bulimic and diets and pills and programs my whole life searching for validation and love. Never got the body. And I probably did more than anyone on the planet, and it was like, you'd get this close and you'd sabotage. You'd get this close and you'd sabotage, because the belief system inside said, I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it. So to stand in this place today is saying, like, I fully know I am a divine goddess. I am a divine daughter of God. I am limitless possibility. I am the creator of my world. I am fully in this truth. That understanding is what allowed me to know my worth, that allowed the body to show up. So there's the 2 sides to it. There's first the conscious understanding of, is like, if I'm not living in that space, I'm fully not operating. I'm literally like going through the motions of life, which is life hard. Like, that's what's crazy, is you stay where life is hard. Living in your limiting bullshit is hard. Living in your, where you fight your body and you fight cravings and you fight food, that's hard. Like, I look at what other people do and I go, man, that's fucking sucks. That's hard. What I do is easy. My body is peace, freedom, flow. Living in 8-pack lean ripped abs is easy. and living in epic relationships is easy, and awesome business, and 6 figures a month. All these things are easy and in flow, make life easy because I'm breaking through all the bullshit that made life hard.
Yep.
So it's really like, are you more committed to your reasons or your results? Are you more committed to staying where you're in that safety comfort zone and this belief system that, oh, if I want the body, man, I got to work out 2 hours a day? Bullshit. I can show you that in 10 minutes. Like, if I want, to have the body, it's gonna bring me negative attention. I see that with so many powerful women. Or it's gonna make me unsafe. It's gonna make me seen. I'm gonna have judgment or perceptions. All this is bullshit. What we really want to get to is, if you're not experiencing that space and truth, you're not experiencing that life can really truly be easy. So that's one aspect, the body.
Final thing I want to say about the body is that you are not your body and you are not your mind. You are you, the essence of you, which some people call spirit. Mm-hmm. And if your body or your mind are controlling the show and your spirit is not expanding, your body and mind are not expanding to meet your spirit at its full potential of expression and freedom and liberation and joy and all of its greatness, then your body and mind are what's stopping that. And if your body is not in elite physical fitness and aliveness, it's because your mind's not, and your body and mind are running the show. Yep. So if you want to win that game and claim your freedom and liberation from the game we call life, you've got to be willing to face the inside game and liberate yourself from the prison that's in your own mind, so that your body will express accordingly, your mind will be free, and you can live in the full expression of who you really are. Next step is being with not the body, but the spirituality. So our good friend Jesse Elder said, taking uninspired action is like having sex with your clothes on.
I love that quote.
So it's a beautiful quote. I love it. And this is what I'm talking about in being. If you don't have a deep sense of fulfillment, joy, and purpose in your life, a deep, like fully wake up with a smile on your face, like, I love my life, something's off. And if you don't feel inspired, you're not creating a lifestyle where you are inspired regularly on what's next and where you're going and what you're up to and what your deep why is, something's off.
Like, you're not on fire every day. I wake up and I'm on fire.
Yeah, so generating that inspiration and creating that inspiration to be inspired and live an inspired life instead of a perspired life. It don't have to be hard.
That's going to be a new quote.
That's a good one. Live an inspired life, not a perspired life.
Don't sweat, just be happy.
So then you've got the relationships. Like, we see 2 types of producers. One is the single producer who can't seem to attract a high-level producer to meet them on that level and co-produce together in an epic, fun, amazing way. Come join us so we can show you how. The other person is the person who is married, but their relationship's mediocre. They've lost the fire. You can get that back. It's just a matter of skill sets and mindsets and environments. So, like, truly having it all and being a badass is having true, like, amazing, epic, passionate, deeply connected, meaningful relationships, not surface-level relationships.
In all aspects. The fact that, like, we have an amazing, awesome relationship I can't even describe. And, like, that's how all my relationships
Even
are.
in your business relationships, it's not worth having any relationship in your entire world if it's not fucking epic.
True.
Then we move on to business, and as a result of all these things, you sort out your relationships, you sort out your spirituality, your inspiration, you sort out your body and your mind, your business explodes. And it's not just like, this means you make a ton of money, but as a result of it, the money isn't the only paycheck, because you're doing what you love, you're making a difference, you're contributing massively to people's lives in the world. So there's a paycheck that is another deep sense of fulfillment, joy, and purpose. So it becomes a life of joy, fulfillment, and purpose all the way around, thriving in every area, and to where literally it's like, it's just a game, and I'm seeing truly, how good can I stand it?
Yep, exactly. And the money that you create is just a reflection of the value you're creating in the world. If you're not making enough money, you're not creating enough value in the world. That's the truth. That's why it's all easy. It's all just sharing our value and allowing your life to get greater and greater. Again, Jesse Elder quote, the better it gets, the better it gets. You know? That's total truth. So obviously you guys can come join us if you're interested in the badass breakthrough experience, whether it be New Year's Eve or Have a Soup By or all these epic amazing ones, the selling trip, etc. You can just message Christopher Stubbs or myself, and we can guide and direct you to that space. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, again, download the Marci Lock app, marcilockapp.com, or on iTunes, and be able to get all the past shows. You can see the one with Chris and I where we locked it down and that was right before our Havasupai trip. That was on our way to Havasupai, so we released some golden nuggets there too.
Epic.
This man has amazing truth. We both have truth to share, but this was something that just came through us so much on fire. We just were like, we gotta share this. We gotta allow badasses to go to that ultimate level and experience the awesome freedom that we have. Because when you have this inside you, one thing I do believe, okay, God gives you inspiration. When you have those inspirations and those inklings to do these things and create these things and give these gifts, and you ignore it, you're going to lose it, and God's going to give it to someone else who's going to act. And we totally 100%, I believe in total inspiration. Like, I have thoughts and guidance that just leads and guides me, and things show up, and I'm like, yep, that's why I was guided there. That's why that said this. It's like when I'm aligned in this truth, every day I'm just constantly guided to awesomeness, the people that I get to interact with, the messages that I get shared. And this was like coming through me and coming through Chris, and we realized it together and was like, holy shit, this is something God is asking us to do, asking us to share. So that those people, because what I've experienced is people that come into my space and go through my program and I get to work with, they're so powerful, they're just blocked. And the moment they get unblocked, they release their power and they affect millions that I could have never affected on my own. So together we're so much greater. And obviously this truth came through both of us to be able to share from my experience as a divine goddess, the female strength, God's female strength, and this powerful God sitting next to me, that this is something we get to share. And so if you know you're in that space of just, you've been settling for great, and you're not going to fucking fantastical, and you're ready for that, whether it be with your marriage or as a single person ready to experience the ultimate everything, I invite you to come join us. The experience is so powerful. It's powerful for me, and I get to learn from everyone too, and we get to have amazing breakthrough. So you get to break down to break through. So join us, message us. Chris, how can they follow you, find out about you?
Facebook is the main source. Just go to Facebook.
And it's under Christopher John Stubbs. So people still call you John. They're like, you know John? I'm like, John who? Christopher? Chris? I call him Chris because I'm cool and we're that close. So obviously, you guys, power of choice is yours. We want you to choose your best life. Anything you want to say?
Create an amazing day.
Create an amazing day. Lock it down. Love y'all.